Virgin Atlantic, the UK's other major carrier, has been continuing to modernise its fleet over the past few years. In terms of average age, it must be one of the world's youngest fleets at just under 7.5 years at the time of making this video. Indeed, the carrier's collection of aircraft are now all wide-body twinjets and mostly of the newer generations. And so, considering it's been almost 2 years since we looked at the fleet of Virgin Atlantic, perhaps it's time we revisit the airline to see what's new. Let's kick things off in typical fashion by looking at aircraft types and quantities. Starting with Airbus, we have 10 A330-300s and 5 A330-900s. The Dash 900s began arriving in late 2022, and there are more of these aircraft to be delivered, but we'll discuss that later in the video. The other Airbus jet operated by Virgin Atlantic is the A350-1000. The airline has 12 of these, and there are no more expected in the future. The last of these jets were delivered this year, with Golf Victor Echo Lima Juliet arriving in May 2024 and Victor November Victor Romeo arriving in March 2024. And then on the Boeing side, there's just 17 airframes of one variant from one type, the Boeing 787-9. Again, it doesn't look like the airline has any intention to order more Dreamliners at the time of making this video. So, as you can see, in terms of legacy carriers, Virgin Atlantic operates one of the youngest and simplest airline fleets with just 3 aircraft families. The oldest group of aircraft are most obviously the A330-300s. These have an average age of about 13 years. The newest aircraft are the A330-900s with a current average age of just under 1.5 years. The factory-fresh A330-900s are very clearly meant to replace their older A330-300 counterparts. Previously set to take just 12, Virgin Atlantic will now operate a total of 19 of these aircraft after adding an additional order for 7 at the 2024 Farnborough Air Show. As discussed in our recent Cathay Pacific fleet analysis and other videos this year, the A330neo has yet to reach the same level of popularity that its predecessor, the A330ceo, has achieved. Fellow major operators include Delta Airlines and TAP Air Portugal, although Malaysia Airlines will eventually operate 20. And as mentioned in a recent video, Cathay Pacific has committed to 30 with options for 30 more. With Delta having ordered 35, it would appear that Virgin will eventually be the 4th largest operator of A330neos, just behind Malaysia Airlines and tied with TAP Air Portugal, at least once deliveries are completely fulfilled. This ranking is of course highly subject to change, as it's always possible some other airline will order a large number of A330neos in the future. One of the unique features about the Virgin A330-900 that we didn't get a chance to discuss in the previous video was the pair of retreat suites installed on each jet. The first row of the aircraft features an interesting design, with the 2 middle seats, 1D and 1G, being branded as these retreat suites and are indeed exclusive to the airline's A330neos. By using the bulkhead space in front, these 2 seats have significantly more legroom, enough to add an additional ottoman seat, which allows another passenger to join during the flight, perhaps for a business meeting or sharing in-flight meals together. The divider can then be lowered to make a seating area for 4, again ideal for corporate travelers flying together who need to have a group discussion. In terms of creating a private and enclosed social space, it's reminiscent of Qatar Airways Q Suite in a quad configuration. The big difference is that 2 of the 4 passengers in Virgin Atlantic's dual retreat suite space are just visiting passengers rather than occupying proper assigned seats. The suite seat product, when compared to the rest of the upper-class cabin, is nearly the same. However, retreat suite seats are Thomson Aero Seating Vantage First, compared to the Thomson Aero Seating Vantage XL seats found in the rest of upper class. The other big difference is that the retreat suites feature much larger screens, a massive 27 inches instead of 17 inches for the rest of the upper class cabin. There's also an additional floor storage compartment. As mentioned in our previous video on the carrier, the A330-900s also include an area of the aircraft called the loft, a space also found on its A350-1000s. This is how the airline describes its unique social space. The loft is an exclusive spot for our upper-class customers to come together. With space for 8 people and 4 comfy seats, customers can sit and chat, grab a drink or snack from the self-service fridge freezer, connect Bluetooth headphones to the touchscreens, or just enjoy a change of scene mid-flight. There's a brand new self-service fridge, and we've raised the height of the seats, so it's easier for customers to interact with our award-winning cabin crew. Apart from the future arrival of more A330-900s, there's not much more that can be said that we haven't already covered in our previous video on the carrier. We do know that as part of the fleet transformation, Virgin Atlantic plans to gradually retire its A330-300s starting quite soon, in September 2024. These aircraft joined Virgin Atlantic's fleet in 2011. Considering the jets aren't that old, we can imagine that they'll be snapped up by some other carrier in desperate need of more capacity amid supply chain delivery issues at Airbus and Boeing. By 2028, Virgin Atlantic says that it plans to operate a total of 45 next-generation aircraft, comprising 19 A330-900s, 12 A350-1000s, and 14 787-9s. By then, the Virgin fleet will have an average age of just 6.4 years. With this plan officially laid out by the airline, we probably don't need to make a Virgin Atlantic fleet video for the next 5 or 6 years. Outside of fleet news, one major change for the airline is its relatively recent entry into the SkyTeam alliance. This officially took place on March 2, 2023. As noted in an official statement, the move means Virgin Atlantic is SkyTeam's first and only UK member airline, enhancing the alliance's transatlantic network and services to and from Heathrow and Manchester airports. The carrier's flying club members are now able to earn Virgin points and tier points across all member airlines, while also being able to redeem such points on SkyTeam member airlines. With major airlines like Delta, Air France, KLM, Korean Air and more, it seems like a big win for both SkyTeam and Virgin Atlantic. So that's really all there is to say about Virgin Atlantic. The airline has laid out its plan to take delivery of new jets through the first quarter of 2028, leaving us with very little mystery as to what can be expected of the airline in the years to come. Once the A330-300s are retired, the UK carrier will be fully composed of new generation wide-body twin jets, making it one of the youngest and most efficient fleets in the skies. So what do you think of Virgin Atlantic's incredibly simple all-wide-body twin-jet fleet? Do you think the carrier's fleet composition will remain quite stable for the next decade or so? Share your thoughts by leaving a comment. Simple Flying publishes over 150 articles every week. If you're looking for the latest aviation news and insights, visit simpleflying.com.